Hey everybody, JC here with another episode of TNI Pop Talk. And for this episode, I've got quite a few things I want to go over. First of all, the Big Bad Toy Store contest. In our last Pop Talk, we announced the contest, and so this is just kind of a reminder. The contest runs till the end of this month, November, so you've only got a little bit more time to enter if you haven't already. But all you've got to do is you've got to subscribe to this channel, which I assume you probably already have done. And then you have to either send me a friend request on my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. And then you've got to basically repost or share the last Pop Talk episode. So I'll have links in the description below here to that Pop Talk video in case you missed it, and also links to my Facebook page and my Twitter account. But at the end of the month, we're going to do a drawing. Everyone who does it, we're going to put into a drawing, and then we're going to draw one name, and that person's going to win a $200 store credit to Big Bad Toy Store. So definitely should come in handy with the holidays just right around the corner. And speaking of subscribers to the channel, this past weekend I hit the 10,000 mark. So I just want to say a big thanks to all of you for subscribing to the channel and watching my videos, commenting and everything. I couldn't do it without you guys, and I really appreciate it. I also wanted to talk to you about Toys for Tots. So I know most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with this charity. It's run by the Marine Corps, the United States Marine Corps, and basically they help get toys to kids who are less fortunate in this, these times of the holidays and everything, and they help, basically getting the less fortunate toys and stuff so that they have something under the tree, come Christmas Day and everything. It's a really good organization and one that I strongly support every year. Usually we'll run something on the sites to help promote it or what have you. I'll have a link in the description below where you can find local drop-off points, though. One of the best places to go is like Toys R Us. All their Toys R Us stores have drop-off bins in the front of their store. So and especially with good Black Friday coming up, Black Friday is not usually the best day to go out and find new toys, but it's a good day to go out and find discounted toys. A lot of those toys that have been sitting on the shelves pegworming, will go on discount for Black Friday. So, this is a great day where you can just go out and kind of help clean off the shelves of the stuff that hasn't been selling so that, then the stores will stock hopefully the new stuff. But get it off the shelves and then just donate it to the Toys for Tots. So if you just like go into Toys R Us and buy stuff and then just take it up to the front and put it in that bin, that will really go a long way to helping. So, whatever you can do, if it's one toy, 20 toys, 100 toys, anything will help. Or you can even do like cash donations. They take cash donations on their website and stuff. So I'll have a link to their website for more information if you're not familiar with it. I've got my Toys for Tots hat on. I've not only donate toys, but a lot of times I volunteer. I've worked at their distribution centers here in my area. So I've actually got to experience where like the parents come in and they get toys for their kids, and just to see the expressions on their face, and sometimes I'll bring their kids in and just to see the expressions on their face, and it's really, it really kind of, to me, embodies what, the spirit of Christmas and holiday cheer and all that. It's always great to get a present and everything on Christmas, but to me, I think it's even better when you can give something and help, improve someone's life. So again, Toys for Tots, if you haven't donated or haven't really thought about it, please do. I think there are many kids out there who will really appreciate it. Okay, so moving on. This past week, finally the new Star Wars Battlefront game was released, and I picked my copy up for the PlayStation 4. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts on the game. I'm not going to go into huge details. First of all, I'm not an avid gamer, so I'm not an expert video gamer. But I do think the new Battlefront game is pretty cool. The graphics are awesome. And for this type of game, for me at least, these type of games in the past have often made me, feel nauseated. I get that motion sickness. First game that did that to me was Doom, and so I've never really been able to get into games like this a whole lot, because after playing them for a while, I just start feeling really nauseated and stuff. But so far, I don't know what it is, if it's just better graphics or what have you, but I've not had that issue with this game, so that's definitely a cool thing. Now, the graphics and the music and everything I think are awesome on this game. I will say that, at least from a one-player perspective, it gets a little boring after a while. This game is definitely set up to be, a game where you go online and you play with other people, I think. I mean, obviously it does have single-player options, but everything in single-player mode basically is just geared to kind of practice so that you can then go online or play with somebody else and be decent, which I'm always intimidated. I always feel like when I'm going online, I'm just going to get blown away right away because I'm just not that good compared to most of you out there. I would have kind of liked to have seen a single player like story mode instead of just like these kind of training sessions that they give you. If they had created something where like there was an actual story where you could either pick a rebel or a member of the Empire and just take your character through a story, I think that would have been cool. And they have announced that they're already going to be doing a sequel. Not that's a big surprise or anything, but the Electronic Arts already announced just the other day that they are going to be doing a sequel for the Battlefront game. So maybe that's something they can do. But that would be my only complaint is it's just it gets a little boring when you're playing it in single player mode. And I really haven't. Obviously, as I said, I haven't really had a chance to go online and play it. But my guess is it's a much more fun game when you're playing other people online, especially if you're playing your friends and stuff. And graphics and sound and everything on this game are incredible. So I overall give the game definitely a thumbs up. Now, another game I picked up when I was picking up Battlefront, and I really wasn't even thinking about getting it, but saw it and was like, what the hell, was a new game. I think it's pretty new. Definitely, I think it's new on the PlayStation 4. Maybe it's been out for older systems like the PlayStation 3 a little longer. But Activision put out a Deadpool game, and they really, honestly, I don't think promoted it very much. I vaguely remember seeing some stuff about a Deadpool game, but like I said, it's not something they really heavily promoted. But I really liked the game. I mean, it is basically just that type of shooter-up game where you go around and you just beat people up, with your swords and your guns and stuff, and you progress. So the gameplay is nothing too, groundbreaking, but I think the fun thing about it is I think they've done a really good job of kind of incorporating the Deadpool character and his characteristics in the game. Like, he gets a lot of one-liners and such, and so I think that's what makes this game kind of fun.
Got your message, and for the last time, no, you cannot take our Blackbird out for a joyride. Stop calling about it.
Hey, Deadpool, it's Domino. So I got another contract for you if you're interested. The coin is good, so just let me know. Oh, and regarding that other thing you texted me about, I can't. I mean, it was just supposed to be that one time, and anyway, just call me.
Deadpool, it's Peter Della Penna from High Moon Studios. The guy you kept calling dickhead when you cornered me in the parking lot the other night? Anyway, looked over your proposal. Not gonna pretend I understand any of it, but the answer is no. We're gonna pass on your big game idea.
What? He said no? That was our chance to be in our own video game.
Maybe we shouldn't have written the proposal in crayon. Relax. He's gonna call back.
Oh, yeah, because of the...
Deadpool! Hey, it's Peter. Dickhead. Remember when I called you earlier and told you no? I'm such a joker, because I meant yes, of course. The new proposal you sent over this morning went off with a big bang in the office today. Genius. Just genius. So, sum it up, congratulations. Let's make a video game.
See? Once again, our explosive personality wins the day. High five! No high fives, we're voices in our head.
I've got my top designers banging away on a script right now. As soon as it's ready, we'll send it right over.
Script?
So, it definitely is going to appeal to someone who's a fan of the Deadpool character. If you're not a fan of Deadpool, then it's probably not worth picking up. But if you're a fan of Deadpool, I think, you'll have fun with it. I've only, gotten through a little bit, so again, I haven't completed the game or anything, so I can't speak to that. But from what I've played so far, it's definitely kind of a fun game. And and even incorporates a lot of like Deadpool's characteristics, like his healing factor. I mean, literally, like if you can go hide in a corner for a few minutes, you'll heal up. Now, I will say the game is a bit graphic, and definitely there's some profanity in it, so I can't really recommend it for younger kids. Definitely, make sure you're proper age or get your parents' permission before you play it. But definitely, it's a cool game. As I said, I think the game's maybe been out a little longer on older systems, so I don't know how it compares. But the graphics on the PlayStation 4 are really nice, and definitely, like I said, worth checking out. Okay, so now I want to talk about the new Marvel Netflix series Jessica Jones. Now, I want to warn you here, there's going to be some spoilers. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you probably want to fast forward through this part. I'll put in the description below the timing of this segment so you can pass on it if you haven't watched the series yet, because I am going to reveal some spoilers here, some Easter egg spoilers and such. But before I get to the spoilers, I'll just say my opinion of it is I like the series. I didn't like it as much as Daredevil, and part of that is, I think, because I'm just not as much that interested in Jessica Jones, the character, as I was of Matt Murdock and Daredevil. So I think that's part of it. The series is also very dark and a little bit on the depressing side, which I'll go into some more details when we get to the spoilers. But definitely I enjoyed it still, and seemed to lay some decent foundation for upcoming Marvel stuff. So definitely some cool things in that regards. But if you're a fan of these Netflix series, if you like Daredevil, then I think you will like this. Maybe not quite as much, maybe more. I mean, I don't know. It's definitely done in that kind of noir, dark tones. Okay, so now we're going to get to spoilers. So if you haven't seen this show yet or watched the whole season yet, then you probably want to fast forward starting now. Okay, so first of all, Kristen Ritter plays Jessica Jones, and I think she did a pretty good job. Now, I'm not a major expert on Jessica Jones. Most of the comics that I've read, I haven't actually read the Alias story, which this is primarily based on, but most of the comics I've read are with her in it are like New Avengers and stuff, where she was essentially she had her kid with Luke Cage, and so in the comics, everything I've read, she's basically, kind of a stay-at-home mom while Luke Cage goes off and fights with the Avengers. So, again, I don't have a whole lot of background. I'm not as knowledgeable on Jessica Jones as I am with other Marvel characters, but it seems like she did a pretty good job. She's basically kind of very much, I want to say almost negative type person. I mean, she's been through a lot. She lost her parents when she was young. They don't really explain. They kind of hint to it, which I guess is going to be maybe a plot that unfolds in the second season of where her powers actually come from. I think she did a pretty good job overall. I think David Tennant as Kilgrave / Purple Man, I think did a great job. Again, Purple Man's not one of those characters where I have a huge amount of knowledge. I read back in the day the Emperor Doom graphic novel, where Doom basically kidnaps Kilgrave and exploits his powers, and that's primarily my exposure to that character. I know in the comics he actually has a daughter, ends up having similar powers, and she actually joins Alpha Flight for a while. Her name was Persuasion, I believe. So I remember reading about her, but her father, like I said, other than just that Emperor Doom graphic novel, I know he came back in more recent titles like Thunderbolt and stuff, and I haven't actually read that stuff. But I thought Tennant did a really good job. He actually, he's a big a-hole, basically he kills a lot of people and stuff, but at the same time, you almost kind of feel for him. And so I thought he did a really good job with that. He was probably the best out of the actor portrayals. I thought Mike Coulter did did a great job as Luke Cage. So definitely looking forward to the Luke Cage TV series, which I think is probably the next one in the works from Netflix. We're going to get season 2 of Daredevil, but then I think the next show is going to be Luke Cage. And I think Coulter did a great job of portraying that character. So I like that. Now there was some Easter eggs. There was a lot of Easter eggs. I'm not going to try and go over all of them. I probably even missed more than a few, but like, you know, there was definitely a couple references to the Avengers in this, though I don't know why it's like those guys or the big green guy and his compadre. I don't know why no one ever says, oh, the Avengers or anything like that, but we do get some brief references to the Avengers in this a couple times. We got, you know, there's a kid running around in a Captain America costume, which is kind of funny in the park. I like the little Easter egg where they have a flashback and Jessica wants to be a superhero and they're trying to figure out a costume for her. And they actually show her the white costume that she wears in the comics and, you know, the name Jewel and stuff. So they kind of make fun of that in the TV series, which was funny. And there's a scene between where Jessica and Luke first kind of discover they both are superpowered people. There's a bar fight scene. I thought that was a really fun scene. That was in, I think, episode 2. So I like that. But there was also some more significant Easter eggs kind of dropped. So first of all, Jessica Jones' best friend, his name is Patricia Walker. And this is actually, you know, probably most of you know, but is an actual character in the Marvel Universe. She is an actual superhero. Her, you know, in the comics, her name is Hellcat. Now I don't, again, Hellcat's not one of those characters I follow a lot, but I don't recall, you know, them being her, Patsy Walker and Jessica Jones being best friends. I might be wrong on that, but it may be something they just did for the TV show. And, you know, I don't know, definitely they kind of hinted at some, you know, she was training, you know, so she was learning some fight moves and stuff like that. So they kind of, and she at one point takes some pills that give her kind of enhanced abilities, which we'll get into in just a moment. But, you know, so they kind of hinted that, you know, maybe a superhero career could be in her future. And she definitely kind of, you know, wants to be. I think she envies Jessica's powers and wants to be a superhero like that. So definitely be interested to see how that plays out. Now the other one is, and I don't know how many of you maybe caught on to this. This one was maybe not quite as noticeable, but we got introduced to another supervillain, which I think is pretty cool. Though, again, not one that I would really attribute to Jessica Jones. And that's the character of Will Simpson, and played by the actor Will Travel. And this is a kind of a big spoiler, but basically this is this character that he portrays is in the comics we know is Nuke, which I associate more as like a Captain America villain. You know, he's the guy that has the American flag on his painted on his face, and he's kind of you know, he's a soldier who's kind of a nut job, you know, but he has enhanced abilities, strength, and agility and stuff. So you know, it'll definitely be interesting to see where they go with that. If he's going to play a part in something like Daredevil, maybe that would be more fitting to me to see him in Daredevil than Jessica Jones. So you know, I don't know. In this, you know, he's dating Patsy Walker for a while, so he's got a close relationship with her, which again I think was just for the TV show. I don't think that's anything that was ever in the comic. But we'll be interested to see if he, you know, has any future role in something, maybe even, you know, Captain America movie. I don't know, because like I said, Nuke to me is much more a Captain America villain than anything else. So that was definitely one that I was interested in seeing. You know, he takes the red pill and the white pill and the blue pill. Hasn't painted his face yet or anything, so he hasn't quite gone that psycho. So, you know, again, it'll be interesting to see where he pops up next. But definitely they laid the groundwork, so I'm sure we're going to see more of him at some point. Either in the second season of Jessica Jones, or, like I said, this could be a character that we could see pop up in one of the other TV series. So definitely interesting there. Ariel Dawson's character, Claire, the nurse that we saw in Daredevil, she makes an appearance in this. I think she's gonna pop. She's gonna be kind of the common denominator in most of these Netflix series, I think, because I think she's also slated to be in Luke Cage. So And a couple references to Daredevil, of course, though unfortunately we don't get to see Daredevil on this show. I was hoping that maybe he made a surprise guest appearance or something, but he doesn't. Overall, again, I give the show a thumbs up. Very depressing. A lot of people die. I mean, the reason why I say it's depressing, I mean, it's done in a very dark way, so there's that, and it's deliberate. But it's depressing because, and this is more big spoiler, but everybody basically dies in this thing. The premise of the show is Jessica Jones wants to save this girl named Hope, who basically gets manipulated by Kilgrave and kills her parents. And so the whole thing is that the reason why Jessica just doesn't kill Kilgrave is because she needs his testimony or proof that he basically used these powers to get her to kill her parents. Well, long story short, she doesn't succeed. She never, eventually Kilgrave basically on his own, tells the DA and everybody to release her. So she does get released from jail, but she's not cleared really. She just gets released, and then she ends up getting killed. So everything that Jessica does is basically just leads to people dying, and she doesn't even really accomplish what she set out to do. That's why I thought it was a little bit on the depressing side. So, but again, overall, I give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't, you're probably not listening at this point if you haven't checked it out. But if you did, I would definitely be interested in hearing your thoughts on what you thought of the show, and how you thought it compared to Daredevil, and what you think might see with some of these other characters. Okay, so finally, moving on. So I got a letter in the P.O. box, so I want to open that up and read it. If you want to send in a letter with questions, artwork, anything along those lines, just tell me what's going on and stuff, then, send it to the P.O. box. I'll have it in the video description below. And, if you send it to me, then I'll try and read it on a future episode of Pop Talk. So this one comes from Mark Williams. And he writes in and says, "Dear JC, thanks for the websites and the YouTube channel, especially Marvelous News. I'm really into Marvel figures, and I love the reviews that you all post on the websites. Yours and Shartimus's and a few others. My favorite line is Marvel Legends, though I also like the Marvel Universe 3 1/4 inch line. I know many people like either or, but I happen to like both lines. Do you think we will ever see more articulation return in the smaller scale line? Also, with the holidays coming up, is there anything you're looking forward to for Christmas this year? Thanks, and keep up the good work." Well, those are both good questions. As for the articulation, I gotta be honest and say probably not. Let me rephrase that. Not across the board. I think we might see figures here and there that will incorporate more articulation. Probably will be reuses of existing molds that they've already done from the Marvel Universe line. So I do think we will see figures with more articulation, but not across the board. I think it'll be a pick and choose, and probably more will have less articulation than have the more articulation. And we've talked about this before, but it comes down to cost. Hasbro doesn't feel that people are going to pay $15 for a 4-inch figure. Definitely don't think parents are going to pay $15 for a 4-inch figure. I know we look at these lines like both the 6-inch and the 3 1/4 inch Marvel Legends and Black Series and stuff as adult collector lines, and that probably is what when Hasbro makes those lines, that's who they have primarily in mind. But the thing you have to keep in mind is that Hasbro still is selling all these things to the retailers, and the retailers are still looking at it as, is this a line that's going to sell well with parents and kids, because that's who they feel primarily buys the action figures. And so they don't, even though maybe adult collectors would pay $15, though I hear a lot of you, when you see these higher prices, say, I'm not going to pay that much for this figure, that's ridiculous. and some of you have this idea like they're just trying to rip you off, and unfortunately that I don't think is really the case. Yes, they have to make a profit. They're a business. Businesses have to be profitable, but they're not trying to gouge you for the price. It's not like they could easily make a profit if the figure was $7. They really can't. And so, it comes down to, while I certainly think everyone has a right, if it's too expensive, that's completely understandable, but you should keep in mind that if you're not going to buy it at that price, and a lot of people follow suit, that means the line's probably just going to end, or we're going to end up with the 5 points of articulation figures or what have you. It's not like Hasbro's like, oh, let's see if we can rip people off, and if we don't, then we'll go back to the lower price with the high articulation. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But my feeling is, in today's market with the prices and everything, like I said, you'll see some here and there. We see over in the Star Wars line with the Black Series, they're experimenting with, making the Black Series a Walmart exclusive, which I think they're basically just testing to see if people are going to buy those figures at those higher prices. And and they've even said at one of the previous conventions that if they sold well, then we could see Black Series figures return to general retail, not just Walmart exclusives. But if many of you really aren't willing to pay that much for a 4-inch figure, then I don't see that returning to general retail. So we'll see how it goes. But my guess is, as far as high articulation on those smaller scales, it's going to be maybe here and there, but I don't see it returning all across the board. Or if it did, then maybe they would go the route of doing an exclusive line or something. Anyway. Thanks for the letter, and again, if you guys have letters or questions or whatever, you can also send me a quick ping on Facebook. If you're following me for the contest, you can also use that to contact me with questions and things like that. Or like I said, you can send letters with artwork, questions, whatever, to the P.O. Box. And Thanksgiving is coming up this week, so I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. And I'm going to try and, I'm going to be doing some traveling for Thanksgiving, but I'm going to try and get, there's a bunch of DC collectible figures coming out this week, right before Thanksgiving, so I don't know how many I'll get to before actually I have to leave for Thanksgiving, but try and get as many as I can, and if not, then definitely next week. But hope you all have a great Thanksgiving, and until next time, I will catch you later.